Hello, everyone. Welcome one and all to Drawing Expressions, streaming live here on YouTube. I'm Parz. Hey, how you doing? We do creative writing here, and today is no exception. Really like seeing you here. I've got Alicia, who's monitoring chat, my lovely lady love. So reach out, say hi in the chat. Let us know you're there. I see Andrew is already here. Hey, welcome. So yeah, hi. Okay, so let's just kind of get right into what it is that we're going to be doing. So if you're new here, bear with me, cover a few things, and then we start doing some writing. If you've been here before, yeah, know I do that already. Okay, things to know. And really, out of all of this, the thing to know most of all is we operate on guidelines. We do not operate on rules, because guidelines, they bend nicely. Rules, they break. And so there's no cleanup with guidelines, because they just bend. You have to sweep up rules because they're sharp and nasty, and you don't want to step on them. The class structure, we always have it in 2 bits, and today is no exception. That one is more of a strict guideline, not so much a rule though. We have the planner and the pantser. The planner today, we're going to be working with the Moss Piglet prompt of 9 lives, and we'll talk about more about that in a minute. And then in pantser, we're actually going to do a bit of discussing some writing that I have done and submitted. And again, we'll talk more about that when we get there. Last bit to cover before we move on to the getting ourselves ready in and into our creative space is free expressions. It is our open art time. If you are here watching live, it is the same start time, just 1 day earlier. Otherwise, we are 9 a.m. Bangkok time on Saturday, so look to see what time that is in your neck of the woods. All right, with that, let us move over here to the breathing and the stretching. So to get ourselves into a creative space, I like to do what I call square breathing. I'm going to invite you to join me. So what it is we inhale for a count. I use 5, and then we hold for 5, exhale for 5, and then hold for 5. And then we do a nice big cleansing breath and a little stretch in there as well. Okay, so let's do it together. Breathing in, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and hold, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, and hold, 2, 3, 4, 5. Breathing in, and a little stretch, whatever your stretch looks like, and there we go. Get the body just a little bit limbered up, get the mind a little bit limbered up, so we can be our creative self. Okay, let us begin with talking about what it is that we're going to do today for the planner section, which is the Moss Piglet submission for the January issue. So just take one sip here, 1 second, and then we'll get into that. Okay. So if you've been here before, you know that I submit into the Moss Piglet magazine. It is a lovely magazine. This is the October edition, which was the Moby Dick issue. Alicia has also been submitting. She submits art. So yeah, so this is a routine monthly magazine that the publisher, John Bloner Jr., puts out, and I routinely submit to it, and thankfully I have stuff that is routinely being accepted. So that being part of my writing process, I am incorporating that into these lives. So the prompt for the January issue, and so the reason I'm bringing it up now is because the submission deadline is the first Wednesday in December, which I believe is the 4th. It is, because that's what my notes say. In fact, let me just bring up my notes right now. So 9 lives. And that's what we're going to be writing a story based on today. So I'm just going to scroll here. So as we like to do, or as I like to do, we're just going to start off with, where does your mind go when you think of the prompt 9 lives? And let's just jot down some notes. And then based on those notes, excuse me, we're going to write a story based on it. And now here's some ideas, because 9 lives may seem to be very small and specific, because 9 lives refers to cats. I mean, that's a cultural thing that we are familiar with. But it doesn't have to be simply cats. We can focus on the term lives. And what does that mean? Like the lives or periods or ages within, say, 1 life. You can have just focus on the 9, like the numerology of 9. What is a meaning for 9? Or we can expand it even more. So I've got a couple of things that I have written so far for this issue. One is very much based on life transferring, a single life transferring into body after body after body, and therefore being immortal. There is another one that is more of I used up a number of lives, surviving a number of cascading, nearly fatal mishaps. And so that is another take on 9 lives. And we're going to do yet another one here. I'm going to make one, and again, I'm going to invite you to join me. So I'm going to pause here for a moment and allow you just to think briefly about what it is that 9 lives means to you. Write them down, and then based on that, we're just going to proceed forward. So you do that. I'm going to have some coffee. Coffee. Okay. Alrighty. Let's move on. I'm presuming that you have done yours already. If you haven't, not a problem. If you want to watch me write mine, keep the volume up, because I am going to talk out loud as I work my way through my process. If you are going to be working on your own thing, go ahead, turn the volume down, and we'll come back to the stretch and breathe screen when we are done with this segment. Okay. So let me see. I'm just going to call up my working page. There we go. And I'm going to share it. So I've jotted some notes down already. So I knew I was going to do this 9 lives, and as part of my creative, not just creative writing process, but creative process, period, is I work from just 3 things: observing, scribing, and then editing. And so observing, we reach out, we find ideas or an idea, and we start to work with it. We observe it, we see what is it that I want to do. So in this case, 9 lives. Where does my mind go? And then we start jot notes down. And I was just making mental notes about what might it look like, what might not. And as ideas would kind of brew up, things that were more interesting, I would work with. Things that were less interesting, they fell off to the side. And so now I just jotted down some notes this morning, which are the result of my mental working some of the stuff out. So 9 lives. So what I decided I wanted to have was to have something that included cats. Now, since I had 2 that don't include cats anywhere, I thought, let's somehow add it. Now, that seems quite limiting. And so how do we write a story about cats? And I've got 5. And I could have written something involving one of the cats, or a little adventure, or my day out. Mom and dad didn't know, blah 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 blah. based more on truth than I would like. That was there, but it didn't really work with me. But we do have cats that live outside the house, and man, do they just scream at each other in the middle of the night. And so this caterwaul. So how do we incorporate caterwaul? Because I loved that idea. And what if we included it as part of like music? There's a whole type of music within the metal scene where people will, it sounds like Tibetan throat chanting in a way. It's just, it's very, you know, loud and aggressive. And I was like, well, what if we had caterwaul do it instead? Because it's like pure. And who would do this? Well, what if we had a musician, like a very small, slim, elfin-like figure? And I was like, well, you know, Bjork is sort of fits the bill, and she's, I mean, amazing vocalist. Love listening to her stuff, but she's way, way out there. And why don't we model the musician based on her, but like a metal version of Bjork, who does this caterwauly throat thing, and then she decides, I'm just gonna have my band use caterwaul. And how do we present it now with this idea? And what if we do it as in terms of an interview? And that way we can really keep it edited down and short, and then imply that there's more to the story instead of having to write the whole thing out. Right? So that is sort of my starting point for where we're going. So I'm just going to bring my keyboard down here. Okay. So there's still an awful lot of space to work with, none of which I have thought of until now. And so let's just see where we go and how this works out. Okay. So first off, normally in an interview, we have like an introduction. Sometimes the interviewer introduces themselves, sometimes they don't, sometimes it just jumps right in. Oftentimes it's like the head of an interview article, it says this is an excerpt from a longer interview. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to present this as an excerpt of a longer piece. Now, if I had the time and the inclination, I could write the longer piece and then edit it down, you know, find the best bits. That would take, you know, some serious editing time, which I don't have here for the live, but I could if I wanted to really develop this idea. Okay, so with that said, we're going to jump in. So this is excerpted from an interview with Metal Daily. Yeah, we'll just leave it there. Metal Daily. Okay. So now we need the name of our musician, and what the name that I came up with, I actually didn't stick it on this note, I intended to, is I love Simone, because if you alter the spelling ever so slightly, you end up with Simone. Oops, not Simona, Simone. And now spell check is going to give me a hard time with Simone. Accept it, please. Simone is one of the most avant-garde metal musicians out there today. She's seeing her here. She's the most searched musical figure on let's just have something like Reddit's metal forum, I don't know if this is actually a thing, so I'm just making it up. Anyone who knows anything about Reddit would know if I've just made no sense. And on edit, if I wanted this to sound more legitimate, I would actually make it something that is tighter and makes sense. If I want this to be more funny and humorous, I would leave it, I would actually work to make it not make sense, so that it was obvious even to non-Reddit users that I have just made it up. Okay, so that said, here we go. On Field Forum for the last year. And now she's out with a new album where her trademark growls and howls are replaced by animal calls and shrieks. There we go. Okay. So that, I think, is a wonderful quick intro into who are we working with now. We've identified that this is the interviewer who is talking, or has the intro. So now we've established who our narrator is. And so we've got a reason to kind of proceed forward. Okay. So with that, I think we can jump into, this is excerpted. So we also can jump around a bit. We have some more liberties with that. If this were the full interview, we would have to make sure that everything made chronological sense, right? So that one question led to the next question, led to the next question. I'm just going to have Metal Daily. So this is just going to come from the Metal Daily correspondent. I would probably, on having more time, use the Metal Daily's correspondent's name and include that into either the, maybe in the excerpted from the Metal Daily, have the journalist's name, the interview, some more information. Again, this is all to add legitimacy and make it more believable. If you wanted to be more funny, you can either work with those details to make it obviously funny, or you can leave them out. Okay, so Metal Daily. We have to play the straight man on Metal Daily, right? Because again, this is going to be a legitimate. We need to have like straight questions. We can have Simone be totally out there, but the questions have to be legit and make sense. So what was the inspiration for using caterwaul and other animal sounds on the new album? And now we'll have Simone reply, and let's make sure that it gets accepted. There we go. Let's see now here. So what are we gonna have this be? So certainly hearing cats, maybe inside, maybe outside, some sort of inspiration in that way. Maybe we can have it be as well that maybe it's just because her throat is going, and so the doctor said that should be, maybe, you know, something like that. I don't know. We're just going to kind of come up with some reasons. And it, again, doesn't have to make a lot of sense. In fact, some people might even expect Simone to not make a lot of sense. So we can have it be more out there as well. I've always been interested in portraying truth in my music, whether it's talking truth to power or consumer activism. Didn't see that one coming. Or see here. Or helping people regain their power. In this album, I wanted to explore the power and depth of animal cries and shrieks. They are so pure in their intent. There's no worrying about stage presence or aesthetics when they are defending their home territory. It's just beautiful, beautiful and raw. Okay, a little bit more straight than I intended. So on edit, I would probably go back and rework the reasons. I'm just making these up. I had not thought of these before. That is why we get a little bit more scattershot during this section of the live stream. Metal Daily. Okay. Follow-up question. Oops. Hold on, not Sunny. Let's get a follow-up question. Where could this thing go? So walk me through the thought process on, let's name a tune. Let's name a tune within the album. Now, we haven't named the album. That is something we could do. Maybe if I have enough time, we'll name the album. But let's just see if we can come up with a tune name here. Walk me through the thought process on, let's see now here. My food isn't your food. Is that let's see now here. Okay, how about that? Walk me through the thought process on my food isn't your food. We're going to assume that there is caterwaul in here. Actually, here, we'll just see if we can squeeze that in. Maybe not, just drop it. Where you use prodigious amounts of cat cries. Simone. Good. Spell check likes it now. Let's see now here. Yeah. I wanted to capture the sounds not of regular territory defense, but of food prompted cries. Let's see now here. Food prompted cries. So I want to have something that says something about that this is more true than just simply having caterwaul. That the reason behind the caterwaul is important. The timbre and quality of this line, the cries, is quite different. And whoops, yeah, here. And I felt that I had to capture the true sounds of food defense. And then I also tried to relate that to famine in parts of the world. And let's see, Metal Daily. Quite powerful. I can attest. And we'll have Simone just say thank you. And now we'll just sort of close it out, because I think we've sort of covered a brief nugget of this interview. For the full interview, log into Metal Daily's website archive. There. Okay, so let's just kind of go through and see what we have ended up with. So, excerpted from an interview. So I could put the interviewer's name right here with Metal Daily's Suskin Ramskin. I don't know, I just made it up. So then I would go through and change Metal Daily through all the questions into like Ramskin. So Simone is one of the most avant-garde metal musicians out there today. She's the most searched musical figure on Reddit's metal forum for the last year. And now she's out with a new album. And this is where we can put the name of the album. Let's see now here. Nature Cries for Me. Where her trademark growls and howls are replaced by animal calls and shrieks. So Metal Daily, or Ramskin. What was the inspiration for using caterwaul and other animal sounds on the new album? I've always been interested in portraying truth in my music, whether it's talking truth to power or consumer activism or helping people regain their power. In this album, I wanted to explore the power and depth of animal cries and shrieks. They are so pure in their intent. There's no worrying about stage presence or aesthetics when they are defending their home territory. It's just beautiful and raw. Metal Daily. So walk me through the thought process on My Food Isn't Your Food, where you use prodigious amounts of cat cries. Here, My Food Isn't Your Food. Let's just sort of identify that. The first track, where you use prodigious amounts of cat cries. Simone. Yeah, I wanted to capture the sounds, not of regular territory defense, but of food-prompted cries. The timbre and quality of the cries is quite different, and I felt that I had to capture the true sounds of food defense. And then I also tried to relate that to famine in parts of the world. Metal Daily, quite powerful, I can attest. Thank you. And then for the full interview, log into Metal Daily's website archive. So this is just a quick little, boom, here we are, short microfiction thing, which is where I like to operate. This could be a full parody on how musical interviews go. We can make fun of interviewer questions. We can make fun of answers. We can make fun of the metal genre. We can do all sorts of things within the piece if it were longer. But I'm going to keep it quite short. And I like where we have ended that. So I'm just going to pause it there. So I'm going to come back to the room as I sort of reset and get my notes back up and whatnot. I'll leave that. Let's see now here. Let's go over to breathe and stretch, where I'm just going to invite you to take a nice cleansing breath and move on to the next section of the live stream. So here we go. Breathing in and stretch. Okay. Wonderful. How did your story go? How did your story go? Did it make sense? You like it at all? Is it something that you'd like to work with? The submission page, I'm just gonna show that real quick. So this is the call for submissions for the 9 Lives January 2025 issue. And I know that links have been put up into the chat already. Wonderful. So this is the thing. So you can sign up for the Substack. There's if you catch the screen here real quick, you'll see the Substack link, or just go to Crazines. That's all in there as well. Yeah. Anyways, so that is the work there today. And Alicia says, I like mine. Interview in a snowstorm. Awesome. Wonder what that's. The wonderful thing that I get to experience that no one else does is that she writes pen and paper in a book, and it's great because then she gets to draw and whatnot and use her fancy fonts and all sorts of things, and I get to experience that in the privacy of my own home. Yeah, so benefit of my doing this, my little reward for doing this is I get to read her stuff afterwards, and it's fun. Here we go. Okay. So let's reset and move on to the Pantser part of things. Right, I'm not using these notes today. My reward is I get to learn how to write. We get to benefit each other. Okay, so talking about the Moss Piglet magazine, and I really have a love for it. Again, this is the man. My orientation is just horrible today. So there it is. There's the Moss Piglet, the Moby Dick from October, and the cool thing here is again, I've been submitting. So November, I've got stuff in it that's been published already. And I'm preparing stuff for 9 Lives. And so the thing that I get to enjoy is seeing my stuff go into print. And if you want to try to be part of that as well, you know, do your work. He's looking for creative writing. He's looking for art. He's looking for all sorts of things using the prompt, and get it in by the submission deadline. What I want to do today in this Pantser part is to talk about my submission to Moby Dick and read not just the one that was accepted, but also the 2 that I submitted but were not accepted. It's not that they were bad, they just didn't work for his purposes in that time. So I want to fully share everything that I put in there. And I think this is going to be a recurring thing each month when I do the planner section, and we're working on on the theme of what is coming up. I'm also going to bring us back to what had been submitted, and let's talk through maybe the benefits and detriments of what was submitted. Yes, absolutely. Thank you for that as well, Alicia. In the chat, she has said, perhaps look into getting a subscription and help support Moss Piglet, which helps support me because I get to submit so long as he's in business. And it's a beautiful magazine. So this is October, just kind of going through, flipping through some art, some comics, some writing, an awful lot of stories and things. And mine is right there. The Right Whale was the Wrong Whale, a song. So let me read this to you. And my work here is of no greater or lesser quality than anything else that is in here. So if you like what I wrote, I hope that you will subscribe and see what everyone else wrote, because it's some good stuff. Art, comics, writing, it's all in here. Okay, so The Right Whale was the Wrong Whale. Herman Melville went to London to publish his book. At the manuscript, illustrators didn't bother to look to see what type of whale the author thought would be best for the story that should be sought. So the book was published with lovely cover art and sent to booksellers ready for sales to start, which is when it was noticed there must be a tale to explain why the cover featured the wrong whale. The book was showing a right whale, but Ahab hunted a sperm whale, so the right whale turned out to be the wrong whale. What a whaley-taily fail. To the complaint Herman's lawyers sent, threatening suit over how the cover art went, the illustrators responded in an angry letter that they knew the public's appetite better. The book illustrated a right whale, but Ahab raged against a sperm whale, so the right whale was never the right whale. What a whaley-taily fail. While the hope was for customers in droves, reviewer copies ended up in their stoves. After Melville's death, the book found acclaim, but while he was alive, it wasn't the same. The book never showed the right whale. The Pequod is chasing the wrong whale. Ahab's leg was taken by the white whale. What a whaley-taily fail. Let's just read the book, let it set sail with a yo-ho-ho and frothy mug of ale. And so that was what was published in October. I'm happy with that. And it's probably the best of the three, which also makes sense why it was selected. But the ones that I sent in that didn't make it, I still like them. I still think they're good, and I'm going to share them here. So I'm going to bring them up. Actually, I called these up. Here we go. So this first one is called Ishmael's Epilogue. So in Moby Dick, the very end of the book, what has happened is the ship, the Pequod, that went to hunt the white whale, with Captain Ahab being the crazed maniac. The ship sinks. Ahab is dead. The only survivor is Ishmael, who is the narrator of the tale. And in a funny twist of editing, when the English version, I mean like the British version, first came out, editors took out the bit where Ishmael was rescued. He was just simply left at sea, floating on the casket that contained his best friend who had died earlier. The American version put it back in. So I wanted to both play with that idea of the editing, and then also work within the style that Melville wrote, which is very 1800s. So it's very wordy, and it's just very definitely a style. If you read it, you will very, very quickly capture what it is that's going on. So I tried to copy that. And so, yeah, and then I wanted to have sort of like what happens to Ishmael afterwards, all right? So there's some ideas that all sort of threaded together to become Ishmael's epilogue. And so now I'm going to come back to the screen and go through that. So pray, call me Ishmael still, because that's how the book starts. Pray, call me Ishmael. Ishmael, the former schoolmaster, Ishmael, the occasional sailor, Ishmael, the sole survivor of the Pequod, the whaling ship that now rests at the bottom of the sea, along with the full complement of its crew. Perhaps aside, of course, from its doomed captain, Captain Ahab, who was noosed and lashed to the great white whale, Moby Dick. Even now, that great Leviathan, with harpoon jutting still from its side, may swim and thrash in pain with his deceased foe, a grisly trophy, an unwanted companion until that great fish's dying day. My surviving of that adventure, of clinging for a day and a night to the coffin that had been made for my friend Queequeg, and converted into a life buoy during the voyage until my rescue by another whaling ship had, for a time, cured me of my need to seek the sea whenever the same damp, drizzly November in my soul would arise. But, as too often happens when tragedy becomes a distant memory, and pressing cares of the day override softly spoken vows to not try fate again, I found myself signing on to a merchantman due to depart the following day, and from whose sailing I was absent. It's still unclear to me what transpired between adding my name to the crew list and the scheduled departure of the Siren Song. I have a hazy memory of drinking ale with the second mate of my new ship, of becoming ill and of lying cold and still in a dark alley. I may even have heard the mate say, "Ill fortune poisons a ship," but my ragged dying breaths made my hearing unreliable. And then we put the bit in at the bottom, author's note. This is the UK version of the epilogue. In the US version, it's revealed that Ishmael murmurs these words to an attending nurse at a local hospital before succumbing to the presumed poisoning. So that last bit was put in there because if he dies in the alleyway, who is there to record his dying sounds, his dying words? Nobody. Maybe. But now we put it in specifically, it's there. But it plays with the whole notion of what happened in the British version versus the American version. So that was one of the submissions. The other one, a little bit more racy. Nothing too bad here, but just a little bit more on the racy adult side of things. So forewarned. And come back to screen share. So it's called Tonight Only. There's a district in every major city where seedy and salacious meets affluent and refined. A place where the rich buy their drugs of choice, find an hour or two of companionship, and enjoy entertainments frowned upon by polite society. To the uneducated eye, it's all tawdry and gaudy, but to those familiar with the scene, there are palaces of exotic arts where performers are lucky to perform and only select patrons are able to enter. Richard makes a comfortable living traveling to these exclusive venues. He makes more in tips in one night than most people see in a year. And when his stage name is on a theater's marquee, a fleet of expensive automobiles bringing well-heeled customers can be expected. You know his stage name, although probably not in this context. But when Richard first started performing and needed a name that would be both memorable and utterable in public, he abbreviated both his hometown of Mobile, Alabama, and his first name and put them together, Moby Dick. It doesn't hurt that his anatomy is appropriate sized to match. So that one's a little bit more fun, a little bit more adult. And again, that was just sort of out there, and I like it. It's fun. But that is the two pieces that that went in along with the song, and they did not make it, but they are going to be posted. I haven't posted them yet, mostly because I hadn't gotten around to it. They're going to be on the blog that we have for drawing expressions. So if you want to look at those, that's where they're going to be, and I will probably get them up in the next day or two. So that covers the my October submissions, to the October issue submissions. Also covers the upcoming submission. So I think at this point we can sort of start to wrap things up. got enough ideas out there for today. Let us move into, yes, I've just got a note in that I should mention that moving forward, the great thing, there's a whole conversation here concerning like art and AI and writing and blah, 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 blah. And I look forward to doing it some other day in more fullness. But the one thing I want to say about creativity is that creativity is constantly moving forward, trying new things, doing new things, being inspired by one person's stuff, and then having that inspire you do stuff, and that inspires back. And so that it's just constantly progressing forward. So as a result of my work and Alicia's work being submitted into Moss Piglet, we are now working together on, so 9 Lives is, no. 9 Lives was not the first where we did this. It was the future. So the December issue, which will be coming out in about 2 weeks, that issue, Alicia submitted a couple pieces of art, and I submitted a couple of stories that accompany it. And so they were sort of collaborating, well, we were collaborating and moving those together. And so it's that is going to be our new way of sort of working with these prompts as we make our way going forward. And you can participate as well if you're a writer and you want to have an artist friend, like, and you want to move back and forth, do do that type of thing. As Alicia says, it is very challenging, but it is also very rewarding and very fun. And I can't agree with that more. It has been wonderful to work with her, continuing to work with her, and my writing is progressing in a way that is it never would have gone here without the collaboration. And I think the same can be said for her art. And so we're going to be doing that going forward through all of the themes of this year and moving on into 2025 and beyond for Moss Piglet. So if you're looking to experience that and all of that in its glorious this-sized magazine, grab a subscription. And if you want to participate, do your own submissions into Moss Piglet. John Bloner Jr., wonderful guy. I don't say that just because he takes my stuff. All right, so here we go. Let's move into the haiku. Drawing expressions. Creative space, holistically supportive. Please like, share, subscribe. And that would all help us a lot. And now we're over here. So the, excuse me, if you do post into social media, there is your hashtag, different ways that you can interact with us and contact us. Yeah, so if you just grab a screenshot if you need to grab all the relevant info. And I'm now going to come back here where I'm going to thank you so much for being a part of this hours' creative writing discussion, a little invitation into my head and seeing what it is that happens to come out of it on any given day. So thank you again. I look forward to seeing you next time. If you're on the replay, please make a comment, say hi, tell us what you're doing, come visit us in the blog, all that good stuff. Okay, until next time, bye for now. Thank you.